I've seen that.
Now over to the moderator. Thanks.
So thank you. This is the last session, and we have, as Vicky already introduced the panel to you. The format we've just decided to follow is that we have comments from all the experts, 5 minutes each, and then we'll open up for questions and answers for a Q&A session. Is that fine? So I'll start with the extreme left, Dr. Professor Gupta.
Thank you, and very good afternoon. In fact, after having signed the Stockholm Convention, in fact, now main issue before us is how to implement these things. What are the shortcomings? I think we should analyze these things at our own, and public awareness is an integral part of implementation. Without that, it may not be successful. So that we should keep in our mind. And if you kindly recall, Dr. Basu mentioned certain things, and that is a very relevant impact. Of course, there was a lot of discussions on that point. Main issue came up, in fact, we have regulations, but enforcement is the difficulty. How to enforce these regulations? And second point, the analysis or analytical facilities. Though I don't agree actually in total with Dr. Basu, in fact in country there are good laboratories, and CSR laboratories are rich laboratories, then we have ICMR or ICR, so many laboratories, and the equipments you were talking about, I think may not be in 100 numbers, but there are good numbers in fact. And we have sophisticated analytical instruments available in many places. So we can use that. And for 1 or 2 typical chemicals, you really don't need to create facility at your place, in fact. We have to have networking. In fact, if you can recall, in CSIR, in last 2 pilot plants, we are trying to learn how to work in network. And a lot of money was given to CSIR laboratories, but first pilot plant, there was 10th one, laboratories were reasonably equipped, lot of equipments were purchased, but we did not learn how to work in network. And people did not understand, in fact, what is networking. One day, in fact, in a brainstorm session, I was discussing, when somebody asked me, what is networking? I simply replied, networking is like that. You have a tent, marriage tent, and you have bamboo. If bamboo you pull, the tent should fall down. That is networking. If there are 10 people working in networking mode, if one person is inefficient or not working, the system should collapse. That is networking. But what happens, money we take putting a joint program, but our components are well defined. We don't worry about what others are doing. So likewise, for national program, for national cause, we should not create too many laboratories. We should have these specialized laboratories at 4 or 5 places in the country, and we can develop them. So to implement these programs, that's very important. And regulatory agencies, I don't know. In fact, it's a very difficult question because so many places, I think government departments don't have coordination among themselves. And that's why most of the things fail. So we have to learn actually to work in coordination. So these are the 2-3 points. In fact, now main issue is that how to implement these things. But other issues have already been discussed. If you have some typical queries, I think panelists are there. We can take those questions.
Would you like to get one or 2 points how to implement?
Oh.
You are such an expert, so you best person.
that is a good point. In fact, how to implement it. Regulations are there. I don't think we lack in there. But only thing is that there are few chemicals or few pops we can take, and in that particular area we can identify one lab. Say for example, in northern part IITR is there. So we can take care of small things where methods are not standardized, method is not in place. We can standardize. We are well equipped lab. We can help actually people to characterize, to analyze those chemicals. But as far as regulation is concerned, really I am not a person from regulation authorities.
Mr. From lab point of view.
Lab point of view, in fact, we are there to help. In fact, I wanted to suggest during that time, but there was time, not much time in fact. We can help people. In fact, we are working on these aspects. We have 2-3 well-equipped laboratory in the institute, and we can really help people if they come to us, in fact. Or we can help them in project mode. NEERI is one another lab, our sister lab. So there are programs there, and we sometimes work in tandem, in fact. NEERI and me. In fact, and we are there in each other's RC, in fact, actually. So I think CSR laboratories, of course, we have a responsibility on our shoulders, and we would not shy away actually to sharing this responsibility. Thank you very much.
Very important.
Ravi, can I take this 7 minutes of yours on this and quickly run through some of the slides?
Minimize that.
Yeah, I'll minimize it.
Oops, sorry.
Minimize both of them.
Yeah.
I think which one is where? I thought I'll put some pictures on you, otherwise you will only keep looking at me. At least you will see something different. Anyway, I sit in Center for Environment Education, and I'm involved with the small grants of GES. And since I was supposed to be talking on financial part, is the most difficult part. Ravi deliberately brought me here. So the finance is also available. So he says the problem is also there, the solution is also there, and the money is also there. So it's for people like you to act on it. He's a very smart handler, and I know his passion, and I think it's very correct. Thanks. Okay. Anyway, this is the institution I thought I must share and show it to you. Where I am based, it's working all over India, Center for Environment Education. Now, Jess is having these 5 thematics which small grants does. It doesn't work on ozone depletion. I know that many of you are interested in that, but that's not what we work on. So anyway, we touched the last one because the day of the discussion is on PUBs, which is now chemicals management or whatever we say. I say, now what Jeff is looking, let me tell you very clearly, friends, that Jeff is always looking for incremental benefits and incremental costings. That if this was not there, then what were the results? And if this is there, then what is the difference it is making? So, since morning you are debating on these issues, that this thing could have been done, this is the possible option, this is the way it should be done, this is the problem, this is where it is falling. I am not getting to repeat all those. But unless and until, Dr. Gupta just now mentioned, and many of the others have said it in the morning, unless we do not have the communities involved in it, whether they be farmers or whether they may be industries or whatever they are, unless and until you do not have rapport with them, and trust becomes later only. पहले तो आप उनसे बातचीत करेंगे, trust तो is a long term issue and it's mutual.
No, you trust them first.
Okay, so the point is that you trust them and then you build a rapport and then you trust them. And I think so one thing which is always missing, we all talk about sustainability. I don't know how we institutionalize, I always ask a question, why do we have to name a child? ऐसे ही चलने देते हैं उसको. हाँ, सबने कहा identity. We have institutionalized, फिर identity करने थी, नाम दे देते, इतना बड़ा फंक्शन क्यों करना? मिठाई क्यों बांटती है, लोगों को बुलाने क्यों? We are institutionalizing our next generation And that's what we are trying to tell to the other people, that look, this is what the institution is and this is what we're going to create. We have lots of thoughts, but we lack the institutionalization of the very process of action. Anyway, this is one thing which we will be very much, and of course skills and knowledge building and influencing government. I cannot keep always ridiculing one person and then say, oh, I have a mutual trustworthiness with them. That's never going to happen. It's only one side. It's a mutual respect, it's mutual trust. So I think so while we have a point of view, we have mutually to think better and move together. So these are the key principles of Chem, small grants, and mobilizing in kind and in cash, which has been said since morning. I'll take you through another slide. The success of any JEF project is going to be there unless and until we do not have a visibility or a hand-holding and results to links and measurability there. हम कितना भी कुछ कह लें, जब तक हम उसको quantify न करें within a time frame in a qualitative manner, then we do not lead to action. We cannot convince the other person. And many of the studies which have been shown and shared there since morning are pointing to the same things. I am not going to get into it, but I thought that if we are talking on POPs, there has been lots. I can skip this slide, this has already been said. But I must talk on this slide. Many civil society organizations today are undertaking monitoring programs. Kheti Virasat is one of them, are doing an excellent job. They are monitoring actions, they are bringing out effects on it. But is that public awareness which is being created, is it being given an institutionalized mode in partnership with the policymaker? Or is it trying to confront it? I'm not trying to single you out, please don't misunderstand me. I'm trying to be a partner to you, and I really want to be a partner to Kheti Virasat through the JEF small grants. But then, what is it that we are leading to phase out the system, in the system? That's the point which I wanted to bring home. I already, at stakeholder consultations, many people are doing it and many are doing. UNIDO together with UNOP has implemented, I deliberately use the word safe chemicals because I wanted to use that story since morning of the Stockholm Convention which the people heard it. Communities के साथ गांव में हम जाते हैं, उनको कुछ नहीं पता ये क्या Stockholm Convention है, क्या रियो में हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा. वो तो यही कहता है कि जी मेरे को पहले आपने कहा ये कर लो, उसके ऊपर सब्सिडी दिया, then now you are telling me to do differently. My life has been built around it and I'm not going to follow what you say. So it's a long drawn process and it will happen on its own pace. I have left this is a thing which I was talking in the morning. This is a partner, Sarthak, working with us. They are recycling about 5 tons of plastic bags, which I said in the morning, and Dr. was just telling me, Dr. Swaminathan was saying that in Chennai they are taking up experiments and there is no plastic available to put it on the roads. And whereas we are all the time having plastics all over the place and it's running all over the grounds. So see the dichotomy of the answer. It took us 1.5 years. This man was booed up in all places. We went in partnership with these church principal secretaries, so and so, trying to highlight, and we partnered it with them. Today he says कि साहब मेरा दिमाग खराब हो गया, सारा दिन मेरे पास लोग आते रहते हैं, मैं थक जाता हूँ लोगों को दिखाते. Not only from the state, the minister is with him, telling him do this, the government is with him, telling him do this. उसकी आग भी लग गई. You see, he's handling plastics, and unfortunately, in this whole agony of work, he didn't ensure the whole thing. That I'm telling you the truth. And the whole thing went in flames. And now the commissioner also understands that this thing has gone up and I have to compensate. But he cannot, because the system was not followed into the picture. So I'm trying to tell you that how unintended issues also happened while you are trying to check the unintended release of COPs, But then this was formulated, a strategy was formed, and this thing has been done. Today, he gets no less than 5 visitors a day. And I don't know, I said to him, इम्तियाज तू काम किस वक्त करता है? कहता साहब सारा दिन कमरे में बिठा के चाय पिलाते रहते हैं, पहले कमरे में घुसने नहीं देते. So you see, this is what I'm trying to tell you, the report and the trust which, it's a difficult process. You have friends in Ravi, and there are many others sitting in this room, and I'm sure this will make it happen. So my workers are coming here, was talking these little things, and I wanted to leave. This is a model of Janhir which they are following. But I think I'll skip these slides and I'll come to, we having a green heart. Many of you are from Delhi, please join in. Ministry of Environment is organizing it where 25 of our partners are coming and putting up this for that. Just take a minute more.
No, take your time.
And I just wanted to leave this dais with some of these things. The question you asked Professor Gupta was something which was very good. How to do it? And that's the most difficult part. It's really the difficult part and there are no simple answers to it. So, to my NGO colleagues and friends who are sitting here, don't shy away from that. Say that I don't know.
No,
I have to find it.
I did not pinpoint, but I told him, that is your responsibility.
So I'm also putting the responsibility on him. Thank you for giving me leeway. So I think, Ravi, so time has really come when there should be a net coordination unit. And the point was mentioned in the morning again, the task teams, and Rajiv mentioned it, but many others did it, how the selection of the people were not there. The UNIDO report says that, and it says it very vocally. I think so it's not a one-man job or one-woman job. It's a team effort, and I think so we'll have to work in a team. I think so there has to be selections across and setting up work agendas. Again, I come to the point which is the responsibility issues. Assessment of responsibilities. We not align people that this is your and this is mine. But let's assess and hold and find out these are the responsible measures. This is the point number one. And I think so the social economic analysis in the various social economic categories is another issue which could be, and I think so no better than you. These are examples of partnership for the NGO colleagues who are sitting here. We are very welcome to have you all joining into putting the proposals, but I think it's important that if we link up with an institution like Toxic Links, because monitoring is the most important, and we may otherwise fall prey to it, and I'm not going to search everything because I don't have that knowledge. And I'm not supposed to have that. And there are institutions which are made for it, and I think so, where there is a clear driver of change in the education and communication, how we make it. Awareness building is one form, but how do we communicate and educate is the most important factor. And it's a combination of these effects, and I think so, I was looking at it, how do I write and what should I write? These are the various areas in which the partnerships can very well take with the small brands, and there is endless to it. And I think so, go to the website, have a look at it, find out the details, and floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is the booklet which we have kept. This is on climate change, but everybody can pick it. It's talking about three things: the volumes, the emissions, and cost factors. And it's on a CD which is programmed. Change the figures to suit yourselves.
Can I have a small suggestion, please?
Yes, sir.
In fact, I didn't know that you are doing so wonderful job in that. We have to make it a movement. And second thing, to make it as popular as Sulabh in India. Sulabh is a success story in this country. And it is parallel to Sulabh actually. So you have to take lead, you have to take pains, involve people, appropriate people, and make it a movement.
You and me both.
Of course, whatever way I can.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
no problem.
I think so. The very purpose of today was that.
I didn't know, in fact, the figure you showed in the morning, the 5 tons and 10 tons, it's a Herculean task.
Thank you.
It's not a small job.
So we are beginning of a partnership. Thank you for the excellent presentation, which really talked about partnership and communication, I think as a key core.
Thank you.
May I request that Professor Swaminathan speak so well. You can capture. Hold your
But one thing is there, people are collecting these from the garbage, you have to take care of the health.
Thank you very much, Ravi. As I said, let me thank Dr. Sikegi for this opportunity. When they contacted me, I was not very sure that I would come here. Because normally, south of India, we don't easily come up. Unless there is some compelling reason for us to come here. But I had known Ravi earlier also, so I thought I'd come and share some of my views about this. Just before I go into my presentation, the point about plastics, which I was telling you, it's a very interesting thing. A couple of years back, about 4 years back, one of my students had developed recycling of plastics, polyolefins particularly. A small group of polymers. We have prepared some boards kind of a thing, which could have a good market. But interestingly, it requires segregation. You can't just use all plastics, you have to know what kind of plastics you will do. So, if you want to apply it for waste management, you have to ensure that waste is segregated and you get the right kind of plastics for this, you can't just mix everything. And recently, after a lot of evaluation, the Chennai Corporation has started a plan to use waste plastic for laying roads. And when they went for this project, when they proposed this, they gave estimates of how much of plastic is generated and how with that they can make roads for the entire city. The permission was granted, the project was inaugurated. Within about a month, the corporation says we are not getting sufficient plastics for making the road, even the model roads. Why? And they wanted that virgin plastic could be used because they keep the same segregation problem. So when people come up with technologies, they know, they have limitations of the technology and they don't project it. And the moment you say that it's a waste management alternative and this should be encouraged. And when you start applying that, it doesn't turn out to be waste management. You end up with the same kind of problems, but you're actually introducing more plastic into the environment. So that's the kind of story that happens there. So we have to be a little cautious about what we are suggesting anyway. Coming to the presentation. This is a presentation I made. I could, as an academic, I tend to take slightly different note from what is generally discussed in this kind of programs. Because I act impartially with all kinds of stakeholders. I advise, I interact with ministry people, I interact with regulatory agencies, I interact with NGOs, passionately, equally passionately. And I feel, with my students I work, so we feel that whatever we try to do, we should do a good thing. So from that aspect, I try to take a slightly different, without taking specific sides anywhere. I try to find some commonality among all the things. This presentation I made in our institute to our students about 7 years back. So this was, we were just having some collaboration with a Japanese company called Yoshi Corporation. They have come out with layoffs in monitoring technique. So at that time, we organized a half-a-day workshop in IIT to introduce that. And at that time when we talked about POPs, I was surprised to see not many of the students themselves knew what POPs were. So I thought, at least let the students know what they are dealing with before they start telling other people what should be done. So I had this whole concept that I'm not going to I'm not making that presentation. So that is why I titled this. That was actually for POPs. So this is borrowing from famous Nehru's words. So it's a place to go. We are just, maybe I can say today we are starting the journey again, but it's not an easy road. It's a road very less traveled. Many people would dare to even think about walking into that. Okay, so that's the kind of situation that we are in, and we have to understand what we are going to look for. Okay. So, right now, of course, the focus is only on the POPs. We are already discussing the whole day about this. And that obviously comes central concerns of the human health and ecological impacts. So to me, POPs is just a subject of the toxic chemicals in general. If you look at the kind of variety of chemicals that we are dealing with day in and day out, there are millions of chemicals. Okay? So, and many of them
have health impacts and ecological impacts. And why are we just focusing them on a very small numbers? There are reasons obviously, of course. There have been lots of studies to prove the specific reason why we have chosen only this. All that is true. But when it comes to the question of management, management is cannot be addressed for only a specific subset of a total problem. You will probably find a local solution for a global problem. So that may satisfy you for a short term. But if you are talking in terms of sustainable development, in terms of sustainable solutions, then you have to broaden your viewpoint. That is precisely what I would like to sort of make sensitize everybody about. Okay? So generally, when we look at any kind of environmental problem or waste management problem, there are two different perspectives, as I put it. One is the environmental perspective, which generally addresses the waste and residues in the manufacture and the use of toxic chemicals. So we focus more in terms of what do we do with the waste that is generated, and if we find something happening in the use, then how do we safely use the chemicals? So these are all end of the pipe. So it's basically kind of developing good treatment and disposal technologies. And from a user point of view, if we find something is not very safe, then we try to make it safe. So we look at alternatives, processes, different products and things like that. So from an environmental perspective, it is correct, because our concern is on the other side. But as a chemical engineer, I am also a different perspective. That's what I would put it as a technological perspective. To understand what is this technological perspective, I would just like you to focus on this simple equation. Any activity or any production process basically uses raw materials which are natural resources. Apply energy, you get products, and you get products which cannot be used, which are waste. So the environmental perspective generally focuses on the waste part only. It implicitly assumes that production is an activity which has to produce waste, and then you deal with the waste, independent of the production process itself. Okay? Now, as I said, this may yield a solution, but it is not a sustainable solution. In fact, if you look at treatment and disposal technologies for any chemical, it is nothing but the same production process. Whatever we use in treatment and disposal is nothing but whatever we use in manufacture of chemicals. So all we are doing is, in the normal manufacture, we use natural resources and produce some chemicals which have got value. In the treatment and disposal, we take the waste and produce a material which doesn't seem to have any value. But its value comes only indirectly in terms of the potential adverse impact that it could create, and if we extend that, the potential economic losses that would happen. Okay? So that is how we have to look at that process. Now, as long as we stick to that waste management perspective, we are still not solving the total problem. So for a long-term sustainable solution, it is necessary to not to address the waste, address the products. You first question the value of a product. That's where when we talk about pesticide, is there an alternative? When we talk about an alternative to pesticide, we again look at similar chemical which will do the same thing as a pesticide. Same activity, same service that the pesticide offers. But is there an activity which does not require a pesticide? That's the kind of question that has to be asked. So when we look at from a technological perspective, we again focus on what can be done, what cannot be done immediately. So we can look at improving the process efficiency, which would try to reduce, which proportionately reduce the amount of waste and concomitantly the amount of problems. That is called the waste minimization. Then we can have process modifications to minimize or eliminate the toxic materials. That could be a better solution to that. The best solution, however, is to minimize or eliminate the need for the chemical. Okay? So, is this possible or not? That is where I pose these challenges. So, in the context of POPs, if you have intensely produced POPs, what are the alternatives? To give you a simple example, can agricultural production be sustained and increased? Because the population is increasing, we need to increase agricultural productivity. Can that be done without pesticide? There are answers. But the answers, again, there are qualifications to the answers. We will have to understand what are the economic and social implications of those alternatives. So, unless you think in those directions, as long as you keep around, okay, there is no alternative to pesticide, we have to find pesticide-like material, we probably will not be able to get success. As far as unintentionally produced crops, again, we talk about incineration, dump sites, okay, so industrial boilers and kilns. Is there a non-incineration technology which can get rid of the materials to the same extent that incineration does? Again, answers are there, yes, but where are they? That's the question. So, we have to it is not that most of these materials have not popped out from anywhere else. They have been developed systematically over the years for specific reasons. Now, what are those reasons which have promoted the use of those chemicals? If we go into that, we will find that we were existing, we were able to survive, we were able to have a quality of life which was better when we did not have these chemicals. Today, and many times I am surprised to see modern villages, people are taken around to show how people were living in equilibrium with nature. And they are showpieces. They become showpieces because if you start following that, you will not be able to survive here. So that is the kind of situation we are coming to, and this is the long term that we have to break into to understand where we have to go. So I propose a new paradigm. The human wants are the driving force for excessive consumption and the need for all the chemicals. So consumption will require production will entail waste. So it is not what we have to look at is not waste minimization, we have to look at want minimization. So that is the needed order. Let's not focus on the waste. Let's see what do we want. Are we using the materials optimally? Can we reduce the kind of materials, the kind of chemicals that we are producing today to a substantial number so that we can handle and we can live in equilibrium with the nature? That is exactly what the kind of paradigm we have to look for. I know it's utopian. I can talk about it. I can tell this to my students. They'll be happy to learn all this. But practice, to bring it in practice is something, is a real challenge. And I wish that we all join together in meeting this challenge. So I just end up with this. This is what I gave to my students also. Little here. So it is K Sara Sara, whatever will be, will be. For the future generation, do a good deed. Let's live with what we really need. K Sara Sara. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Swaminathan, for reminding us of the need to bring back the life cycle thinking of the things and to don't forget the life cycle approach of every material that we use. Thank you. I'll now request Dr. V.V. Patil Shetty, Joint Director, Central Power Research Institute.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I am thankful to Toxic Links for having provided a good platform at the National Capital to discuss on the issues which are very, very important and has far-reaching consequences on the issues related there. I am from CPRI, Central Power Research Institute, which is under the Ministry of Power, which deals with the servicing the electrical industry, electrical utilities, that is power generating units, power distribution and transmission aspects of that. So that way we were working, and we were approached by the IRDO and MOEF to deal with the material called as polychlorinated biphenyl, that is one of the POPs. And we were readily agreeing for this because we had very good interface with the electrical industry. And we were knowing that the situation is very serious if we don't address these issues, because the quantum of the material that is there and the high life these POPs are having can have serious impact on the human as well as the livestock life, and it can affect the people as well as the species there for generations. So that way, the opportunity given to the country by Jeff, IRDO and MOEF together was a godsend opportunity, and we grabbed that. And CPRI took this as a challenge and contacted various utilities across the country, and though not, we may say that fully we are successful. We have done appreciable work in that, and I thank Dr. Angu, who in a very nice way put it up to the audience here that we have done a good job, and people cannot say so likely that a nip has not been done properly. So that way I appreciate his view, and we have done a good job there, and we have found out that approximately there is about 10,000 tons of this material in the country. That has to be eliminated. Under the NIP, we have inventorized the material. The big task is there to eliminate this material in an environmentally sound manner, and that can save our country in the coming years. Because otherwise, if it reaches to the ground, if it leaks to the water, it can have effect for centuries. So that way, it is a service to our country, service to the mankind, and we should be thankful to the Stockholm Convention, which has really got that awareness and sent the message all over the globe, call all the countries to meet together and really address to the issue wherein the human species or the livestock of the planet itself will be affected by this type of materials. This is the basic aspect of that. Then, in the post-NIP activity, CPRI has recommended for a non-combustion based technology for destruction of this material in an environmentally sound manner. Now, people were discussing about the incineration. Incineration means burning of a material, and burning is always not a controlled system, controlled mechanism in which we can break the molecule into particular pieces and separate them out. No, there are so many byproducts. It's like a breaking up a glass item, a mug for example. It breaks into smaller pieces, bigger pieces like that, and it's very difficult to control those products. And in case of the POP molecule, like polychlorinated biphenyl, very dangerous materials which cannot be tolerated even in the nanogram are being generated and can affect the life, human life. So that way, dioxins and furans cannot be controlled when we are incinerating in large quantities, and the mechanism or the system that we are using, though we are telling at 1400 degree centigrade or 1000 degree centigrade for example, we are maintaining the incinerator, we should be able to burn it. But still, in a country like ours, the mechanisms, the implementation of the things cannot be done to the perfect aspect. So that way, we are recommending the accepted technology all over the world, that is sodium based dechlorination for our country. So that's how we are working on that, and we have recommended. And another advantage of this technology is that we can use this technology for treating the other materials also. If you see the persistent organic pollutants, there is one common aspect of all these things. You might have observed that. Say, chlorine is an electronegative element, benzene is an electron-rich electron-rich central molecule. When the electronegative material is attacking a electron-rich material, there will be a good bonding between them. Molecule becomes very, very stable. That's why the life of that molecule will be very high. That's why it's called as persistent. And there is a commonality between all the other say persistent pollutants like dilin, arlin, and so many other molecules, even including DDT. All these are having the benzene molecule with the chlorine or bromine in them. So that's why all these molecules are similar in chemical nature, and this technology can be applied to these things, and we can be able to destroy these molecules in an efficient manner. So that way, we shall be looking in the near future, within next year, we should be thinking about destroying the stockpiles of the pesticides like DDT and other materials, even benzene hexachloride. All these materials, we can try the pilot trials for destruction of these materials. So that's what we are trying, and even for handling the high concentrated PCBs, we are actually almost reaching a final trial there, and we shall be treating highly concentrated PCBs in a unique manner, not found elsewhere in the world, can be treated in the same technology using a special technique. So that also we are trying, and we will be working out on that. So in both aspects, we are actually looking for importing a technology first on the basis of the sodium-based dechlorination, and we will be having two types of facilities. One is the static facility and another is mobile facility, wherein a static facility will handle larger quantities of material at a particular place, and it is proximate to the highest stockpile that is available. Then the mobile facility will be moving towards the different locations in the country, and we will be treating those things. So that way, we are organizing all these activities under the guidance of MOEF and UNIDO. We shall be working. Though as a government organization, we have our own weaknesses, we will try to address those things, try to reach out and really make a good success in that. So that I want to assure all the people assembled here and all the like-minded people. Definitely Professor Gupta's comment is very good, because it is the responsibility of every human being on the planet Earth. It is the responsibility of every citizen of this country to look how best we can avoid the pollution, control the pollution, and try to make the life more comfortable at a minimum cost. Because any system that's not working can have serious impacts. For example, even a crematorium, which is there in the residential areas, is having very high concentration of dioxins and furans, because they don't work at those temperatures. So, in future, in fact, I was telling in the other forum, wherein we have to think about utilizing all the waste in a way where the technologies like supercritical water oxidation has to be used, where the materials have to be dissolved in water, and then we can have the fuel out of that and generate the power. All the waste, whether it is a human or whether it's any material, any organic material, has to be converted to fuel, and we have to have a clean environment, and that's how we are looking for the future sustained growth of mankind on the earth. So that's how we are looking, and CPRI will definitely come up to the expectations of the people here. I thank once again all the Ravi Agarwalji, Professor Gupta, Professor Sodhi, and Professor Swaminathan, and all the people here. We welcome suggestions by all the people here, and I would also like to say that we have one of the best laboratories. We have two GC-MS instruments, and we have GC-ECD, in fact, which is sufficient for us to analyze all the chlorinated materials, which we can analyze. Up to ppb levels we can analyze, but normally it's not required. Up to 2 ppm level, GC with ECD is sufficient, and we can analyze all those samples. We request all of us should work together and really meet the challenges that are involved in the implementation of this national implementation plan, that is post-national implementation plan, and we should achieve a good success in this, and that will help us, our country, prosper and make the
minimum of the best poor person to live comfortably in our country. Thank you.
Thank you, It is very heartening to know that you are working with sodium-based dechlorination. It's really a big step ahead. So it's really important to share this information with us, and thank you for your comments. I'd like to open the floor for questions, if there are any, from the panel about this session or any other session.
Don't raise the questions which have already been addressed.
Let me just,
Yes.
for the sake of information,
As far as PCBs are concerned, I can share you with some more information about the method of treatment. There are two other possible technologies. One is on which we worked a couple of years back, but not with exactly PCBs, but with many other organic molecules. That is the biodegradation route using phenolrachid chrysosporium, which produces an extracellular enzyme called lignin peroxidase. It's an excellent enzymic route. Unfortunately, somehow that research has not reached the commercial stage. But I think it opens up a good scope for this kind of thing. The other one, on which I am presently working, is on the photocatalytic degradation process, which is again non-specific oxidative process based on the production of hydroxyl radicals, and a variety of photocatalysts are now being developed which could handle many different kinds of organic molecules, and PCBs are specifically being taken as target molecules for study in the recent years. So I think because alkaline dechlorination is an age-old technique, it's a fairly proven technique, but I think it's worthwhile looking at some of these new technologies.
Thank you, sir. We shall work together, see what best we can do. But because the quantities are very large, 10,000 tons have to be treated. So that's why we are going for the already available ready-made technology, so that we can save the time and meet the resolutions of the objectives of the Stockholm Convention, which forces our country to meet this obligation, and we have to complete all these works before 2025. So that's how we are working. Definitely we shall look for the alternatives, and these things can be used for treatment of the large stockpiles that are available, like DDT, benzene hexachloride. So much of stockpiles are there. We shall definitely look for that, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Mike.
It's a late question. How is separating the PCBs from the existing transformers in the power sector?
Yes, sir. Actually, it's a good question, because the transformers which are already working and has the PCB, in fact, the normal SQL that is available will be having something like 65,000 ppm of the PCB there, and remaining 35,000 will be something like benzene, chlorobenzene type of material, okay, trichlorobenzene type of material, which will be available. Now we have to drain out the oil, drain out the ascaryl oil, wash it with the mineral oil, or we have to go for a solvent which can really dissolve that, or we have to have the hot circulation of the oil through the transformers. It takes good amount of time, so that the material that has gone into the solid insolution, like paper and oil that is there, will be going into the paper, and it's very difficult to get out of that. So it has to be circulated for almost more than 40 days to extract all the material in that, and that's why we have given the limit for that PCB in the paper itself as 50 ppm. Up to that level we have to clean the materials, then only they are fit to be sold into the market as scrap. Otherwise the PCB oil, the scrap that is there, should not be disposed to the market also. So that is the legislation. Now it is coming up, and we will be following these things, and we will see that all our electricity boards with our good interface will follow those things. They should not auction those transformers, they should not leave those transformers unattended. Thank you.
So, I wanted to tell about the agricultural production.
And in command area where I have worked there, the salinity problem comes. If the water logging is there.
Sodic soil.
Yeah, saline and alkaline soils comes and the production is reduced to zero also. So in Chambal command, which is based at Kota, Rajasthan, about 15,000 hectares has been recovered from this salinity problem by Canadian air by providing subsurface drainage. That is, perforated pipes are laid in between underground and then chemicals are draining through soil and then it is disposed in the main drainage and rivers. So these chemicals have been eradicated and those problems which regarding environment were created out of these saline soils is removed. But still so many thousand hectares area is available there having such conditions because Canada government aid has been finished. So is there any platform to provide such environmental dog cities free agriculture?
You want to remove actually those metal ions from the soil, or you want to
from the soil. So
they want to convert it to fertile soil?
Yeah, fertile soil.
So there are crops which grow very well actually in sodic soil.
No,
So if you grow those crops in that area, slowly you can recover that land back.
No, but that is that experiment maybe I don't know whether theoretical. They have done so many research and then we came out that this is the only possible solution.
That's it. I think Dr. Asha, what is his name?
We are working on
Yeah, they have recovered beautiful degraded soils.
So there the solution was the best solution, which has maintained the fertility forever, about 50 years minimum for this system. And for environment, this is the best solution. Your solutions, we have also tried those.
Yeah, but that is not the topic of today's things.
No, I am coming to the eradication of chemicals from agriculture. So that way, if these things are also considered by this platform, so that is good for India. Because 9.8 lakh hectare has already gone west under these conditions. And these small experiments, as you are telling, are trying so many places, but it's not rightly benefited.
But you have to have efficient impact in that case. You have to have 3, 4, maybe 10 crops, then perhaps you may recover it. There are methods available, crops available, and if you could visit one of the CSR labs, NBI, Lucknow, they have recovered sodic soil, they have converted soil into very fertile land.
Yeah, this is also there, but I am a retired chief engineer from government of Rajasthan and CSSRI Karnal, there also these problems were coming out.
Have you worked on that area, that canal?
Yeah, Karnal.
No, canal. Rajasthan, Bhatta canal, what is that canal?
That is Chambal command, but I am talking of that.
Rajasthan canal.
Yeah, no, Chambal command. Rajasthan canal is Indira Gandhi.
That's right.
There also the sandy soils are there, but still these problems are coming up.
Yeah, but
So-
that is very fertile land.
Yeah, land is very fertile.
But you know what is the problem that land? Lot of water logging taking place.
Yeah.
Because that is beneath the soil there is a layer of calcium
Correct.
gypsum.
Correct.
So that does not allow water to percolate down.
Sure.
तो आपने देखा ना फलोदी में क्या फ्लड आती है, फ्लैश फ्लड.
And that is why these chemicals come up. Water is not coming percolating and then it is being flown by the sun rays and then chemicals are left on the soil. So these are creating environmental problem hazards. And this Indira Gandhi problem is going to create a lot of hazards for human beings and animals like that. So these solutions should come also simultaneously. These small things we are talking, but this is a very big covering India production for agriculture. And in every command area, there is about 10 to 20% such area. In Sharda Sahib, in Uttar Pradesh, Gandak command, in Uttar Pradesh, as well as in Bihar, like that. So my question was that we should also work for these things, and if some, since government people are here, and if some recommendations are to be made to government, then this area should be taken on priority.
Actually that is the problem in this country. Every damn thing we expect from the government.
Our streets are to be clean. और कचरा हम बाहर डाल कर आएंगे घर से, लेकिन वो उठाना है तो that's why we are not progressing well.
Yeah, I am talking of government because this problem in, I am just telling my experience, please don't take it otherwise. In Chambal command area, the irrigation was started in the year 1960. And in 1970, about 25 to 30% area was gone west due to these chemicals on the earth, on the soil. So then UNDP experts joined and find out some way. Then this World Bank worked, then Canada worked, and this time out of 2.29 lakh hectares, about 2.7 lakh hectare is being cropped, double cropped. To all these things. This is an example of government organization working for this. Though the concerned persons are agricultural engineers.
UNDP की जो बात कर रहे हैं ना आप, I tell you one thing, we have become habitual to appreciate only important things. अर्जुन टैंक ना आपको फौज के आदमी है ना, it is the best tank available in the world. कितने दिन तक लटका के रखा उसको? क्योंकि बाहर से खरीदेंगे तो कुछ फायदा होगा. That is the problem. But please don't enter into it. Let others.
This Canada as well as UNDP aid was given free to India.
Thank you. Ram?
Okay, it's
We'll take Ram the last thing.
This is Ram Krishna from Sifat, Nepal. I'll be talking in brief on three aspects, sharing some of the success story in Nepal about the obsolete pesticide disposal through the collective action from NU, government as well as international NGO. So starting with the POPs issue in Nepal, I have been engaged in research where a lot of obsolete pesticides were dumped nearby the schools. And there are a couple of studies which clearly shows that the playground of that school was contaminated. Blood, there is a residue of pesticide in the school children. And based on that, it was like a huge issue. And there was more than 75 tons of obsolete pesticide stored in different 26 locations of the country. And it was like long, the issue was there from since last 30 years. And then I have been a part of Supreme Court case gave the verdict to final disposal. At the same time, I also a part of National Implementation Plan preparing team, where the obsolete pesticide disposal was ranked first for the final disposal. And I'm very happy to share that this month, all the 75 metric tons of obsolete pesticide.
Good success story.
Yeah, has gone to Germany for the final destruction. So this is a long-term engagement of civil society plus government and then the international NGO to how we can and then talking about you need to help which has helped in Nepal for the NEEP program and all that along with the JEP. But here this is I feel this is the critical review of the National Implementation Plan in India done by UNIDO and then some of the things already done by Toxicling and which is the basis of today's work. So and then at the same time the priority list is still the legal things is the first priority and at the other end we are saying that there is enough land of regulation. So does the existing regulation regime is enough to deal with the POPs or new POPs or intended POPs which will be added or to the list. So if it is not, then definitely there is a need of having the specific law. Having said that, I want to share some of the good initiatives we have taken under UNDP JEP, a small grant program under which there was three parts. One was awareness raising, and second was developing a pilot model, how we can avoid the generation of pups, of basically new pups, dioxin and furan, and then some of the work on PCB. In Nepal, the PCB issue has been further gone up to the end user, where the metal fabricators. So basically, metal fabricators are massively used obsolete PCB contaminated iron in their welding machine, and once it again generates unintentional puffs. So PCB is itself in puffs, and then it is being reused in the welding machine, where it again regenerates the unintentional puffs. So we raise the awareness across the country among the PCB contaminated iron end user, which is grill workers, and we also developed a pilot project by shifting the wet welding machine, iron-based welding machine, with a dry welding machine. So that is a kind of like best available technology available in our country. So, and nowadays, number of grill workers or grill entrepreneurs are opting for going for dry welding machines. So that is clear indication how we can make the shift and control the release of unintentional puffs. So that was under PCB, and this time Government of Nepal through Ministry of Environment is also implementing the medium scale CHEF project on PCB, and hopefully by the end of the project there will be similar success stories about the obsolete pesticide, similar on the PCB. And then we have also tried to develop a model medical waste management to avoid the production of unintentional puffs by burning technology through shifting incinerator or closing incinerator and replacing it by autoclave, with on-site separation and disinfecting all the infectious waste and treat as general waste without using burning technology. So there are success stories in ground, in region that can be replicated in a similar situation to avoid unintentional puffs, and at the same time there is a need of increasing engagement of civil society like us in the whole of related activities. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the input given there. So I'll take one more intervention. I think everybody's very tired and it's been a long day. So we need to wrap up. And I think we have to hand over the call also.
It's a bit sad to note that scientists are not leading the people in the environmental pollution problems, which have become very, very serious. There are lots of examples. For example, in case of endosulfan, first people cried, NGOs cried, they went to the Supreme Court, High Court, and then the ICMR comes into the picture. Same with the position is chemical-free farming. People are proving it, NGOs are proving it that chemical-free farming is possible and very successful model, but scientists are lagging, rather pulling their legs. We should be able to.
At the fag end of the day, you want to pull scientists back.
I want to request the scientists that they should be able to lead the people.
Actually, endosulfan things what you are talking about, you are not aware of the whole story.
That's right.
No, it's the most chemical
You can accuse scientists, there is no problem. No, we are a democratic country, you can do that. But one thing, without knowing the whole story, please don't quote.
Okay.
Democracy does not mean that you can tell anything anywhere.
Let's appeal the scientists, request the scientists that they should lead because they are the real lights of knowledge. They should be able to lead the people in solving their problems. And lastly, I want to ask one question. In Punjab, apart from other pollutions, we are having very high levels of uranium. Is there somebody who can comment on it? How should we proceed?
That is in the groundwater or?
It's whole of the environment. It's whole of the groundwater has been tested.
What is the concentration of urine?
It's very, very high. Many hundreds of times than the WHO tested.
Handles करके.
That's in the environment.
It's a very bad impact because in UP is contaminated with this arsenic. That starts from Balia, goes to West Bengal, and that is man-made problem. But this is very serious problem which you are telling.
No, uranium also in Arunachal Pradesh.
So Arunachal there are mines, but
this is
even granite, you go to Bombay VT station and you take the Gaia counters, you can notice that. So that is natural. But uranium actually in the soil, that is something, I don't know what is the level, what is alarming or not. That is to be seen.
Very alarming.
Yeah, there are obviously many.
Mark has accepted.
But I think we should wrap up, and it's been a good day, and I'm very glad for everybody who's participated. All of you have come from very far, and all these senior scientists who have come from different institutions and contributed to this. It is a multi-stakeholder issue. We must recognize that every stakeholder has worked within institutional constraints, and institution has institutional responsibilities. NGOs, we as NGOs have certain responsibilities and certain abilities, others have other responsibilities, other constraints. And works with them. I think we have highest level of, we can see in the room across all stakeholders, there are very high levels of commitments. And even though some of the government hasn't come here, I know they have a very high level of commitment. We constantly interact with them. And so there are situational issues every time, but I think this is not a one-day issue. The purpose of this meeting was to focus the issue again and see how we can give a new thrust to it. Post the NIP which has come up, it's an opportunity. People like Ram have done excellent work in Nepal. And we can also try here, as I was telling him, each state is a country. In India, each state is a European country. So each people is like a national leader. So it's a huge country. We have many challenges, but I'm sure we've come a long way in the last 15 years. So we should not feel that we haven't. With a joint this force, I think we can do a lot. I want to thank you all very much, and I think Rajan insists on giving a vote of thanks, which I'll let him do.
It's very good that we are aware of all these things. To have more dialogue in future,
Yes.
I want that addresses of also
We will do that, for sure.
In fact, we should not have a gloomy picture in the end. India is like an elephant. It moves slowly.
But it moves.
Yeah, it moves.
only thing is when it starts running, then others cannot control it.
So Rajiv,
No vote of thanks, just thanks. Everybody knows what it contains. But the thing is, the next destination is India International